The Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, the 25th chapter. Jesus said to his disciples, "Then the kingdom of heaven will be like this. 10 bridesmaids took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, all of them became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a shout, 'Look, here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him.' Then all those bridesmaids got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, 'Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out.' But the wise replied, 'No, there will not be enough for you and for us. You had better go to the dealers and buy some for yourselves.' And while they went to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him into the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later, the other bridesmaids came also, saying, 'Lord, Lord, open to us.' But he replied, 'Truly I tell you, I do not know you. Keep awake, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Good morning. I am Pastor Martha Miller-Sims. I serve Grace Evangelical Lutheran Church in Winchester, and I also serve as Dean of the Virginia Synod, Dean of the Northern Valley Conference in the Virginia Synod. It is a joy to be with you this morning.
We want a place where...
If you are like me, you have been thinking about how best to handle living in this strange environment we find ourselves in, of continuing to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, the fractious election and cold weather, with Thanksgiving, Advent, Christmas, and a long winter ahead of us. To ward off winter gloom, it is good to prepare ourselves. I read a helpful article recently from Inc. entitled, "It's Going to Be a Long, Dark COVID Winter. Scandinavian Wisdom Can Help Get You Through It." My nephew Jared and his family live in Norway, and when they approach winter differently than we do, with a much more positive outlook that helps them thrive in a much colder and darker season. As the Norwegians say, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. The Danish have the concept of hygge, sometimes translated as coziness, which is more than just candlelight and warm beverages and curling up by the fireplace, but also a mindset. It's about relaxing and being kind to yourself, creating a safe, comforting, and warm place to while away cold, wet evenings, focusing on simple pleasures. The article suggests some helpful practices, habits, jump-starting new routines for self-care and growth, like more exercise, better sleep, building up your support system, even digitally, and practicing arguing with your thoughts, talking back to negative thoughts. Are we prepared for this? Are we ready? Jesus' parable in Matthew is about being prepared for something that is critical: the coming of the bridegroom, the advent of God's kingdom in the world God created and loves. The kingdom of heaven will be like this, Jesus says. 10 bridesmaids took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. This parable is one of the 3 last parables of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew, before the account of his death and resurrection. All 10 bridesmaids in this parable have come to the wedding, each with a lamp full of oil. At the beginning, we learn that 5 of them are foolish and 5 of them are wise. Well, what is the difference between them? What does it mean to be wise or foolish? The The wise bridesmaids have brought extra oil in a flask, just in case it would be needed. But the foolish bridesmaids have not. They have not come prepared for the unforeseen. As the parable unfolds, the unforeseen happens. The bridegroom is very late. The bridesmaids have all fallen asleep, and oil in their lamps runs low. The wise bridesmaids refuse to share their oil because there isn't enough for all of them. And so the foolish bridesmaids are left to run out to the shops to buy more oil. And while they're gone, the bridegroom has come finally. The door to the banquet hall is shut, and the bridegroom himself turns them away. Keep watch. Be prepared. Be ready. This parable was and still is a call to faith, to trust in God and to follow the way of God's kingdom, to be ready for his coming, for you know neither the day nor the hour. To be ready, to keep watch, is to trust in God revealed in Christ and to follow him, to be his disciple, not just for a day, but over a lifetime, day after day, year after year. No matter how long, we must wait for him. If I were to summarize what we have needed in this crazy year, 2020, in one word, it would be resilience. This is a year that has required and is still requiring from all of us that we be resilient. Each season this year, we have hoped things would get better, but it hasn't happened. And it has been critical for us and for our families and for our neighbors to be prepared, resilient, so we all can stay strong and well. So we wear masks. It's such a simple and profoundly efficient way to love our neighbor. We are exercising our God-given freedom to serve. We've found ways to stay connected with one another while remaining physically distant. We've learned new ways and new technologies to worship, filling our homes with hymns and prayers like never before. We've found creative new ways to buy food and other necessities, to meet with each other, and to stay the course in mission and ministry, to share the gospel with children, and to serve our neighbors in need. With God's help, we've been resilient, and the need for that continues. What will it mean for us in the coming months to be ready, to be prepared for whatever is coming? The pandemic, a country fractured by opposing ways of viewing the world, opposing ways of relating to neighbors, different understandings of what it means to be racist, different opinions about handling national and global crises. We are so very different in our way of thinking than we ever imagined. Right now, as I preach and record this sermon for you, I don't know what election night will be like. By the time you hear it, we will know more. It weighs heavily on us. We know that we have difficulty ahead, whatever the outcome of the election, and whenever we will finally have a vaccine for COVID-19. But we also know that there is a bigger picture. As people of faith, we trust that God is working in the world through us, through other people, and beyond us. God is working. How do we prepare for the time ahead of us? Wisdom teaches us to think and prepare for the unexpected, to trust in God's goodness, ready to wait it out, expectant and hopeful for normalcy, even if it's a new normal, confident in God who has compassion for the world, for us, and for all people. We are people of hope and resilience because we belong to God. Yes, the call to keep watch, to be prepared, is a call to faith. Not faith as something to have or statements of intellectual belief, but faith as deepening relationship with the Creator of the universe, who through Christ offers a way for life and salvation in unexpected ways and opportunities. We are saved by God's grace, but saved not just from something, sin, death, hell. We are saved for something. Jesus summed up the 10 Commandments in 2. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Love for neighbor is inextricably linked with love for God. Martin Luther said, God doesn't need our good works, but our neighbor does. God's message shared through the prophet Amos in our first reading makes this link between love of neighbor and love for God clear. God has no interest in our praises, in our worship, or our festivals if we aren't living justly. How we treat others, our neighbors, not just those who live on our street, but also in other neighborhoods near and far, locally and globally, those who are in our own families, those who are strangers, especially those who are different in some way from us, and those who are vulnerable, is very much at the heart of the gospel, the life of faith in Christ Jesus. God cares about justice, about equality, fair treatment for all people. Let justice roll down like water, God says through Amos, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. This is love. This is life. This is salvation at work, in and through us. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Is a superior form of vitamin C. It's the only vitamin C with 24-hour immune support, and it lasts up to 2 times longer than regular vitamin C